What up, YouTube? It's your boy OG Prime Time. You feel me? Share, finna react to some videos and share, finna react to MJ. Shit, that's what I'm finna do today, man. Finna react to MJ and shit. You feel me? So, yeah. I ain't gonna start it just yet, though, too. I'm gonna get some food, I'm gonna get some drinks. We're finna get lit. this video. Would I close this tab?
Is the Air Jordan 1. It's an iconic shoe made by Nike for basketball legend Michael Jordan. It's a piece of footwear history. If you're into sneakers at all, then you've probably either owned or wanted a pair of these. Maybe they're even your grills. But did you know that the Air Jordan 1 was once banned by the NBA? Or was it really? The year is 1983 and Michael Jordan is a young college basketball star playing for the University of North Carolina. A promising athlete, MJ would be drafted to the NBA the following year at the 1984 NBA draft as the third overall pick by the Chicago Bulls. Meanwhile, the sportswear company Nike was still a young player in the basketball shoe market. Struggling to keep up with Adidas and Converse, Nike needed to make a bold move fast if they wanted to keep up with their competitors. In 1984, Nike had some great players like Moses Malone and Jamal Wilkes, but they didn't have a marquee player like other brands did. Converse had a roster of superstars like Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, and Dr. J. Nike wanted their next endorsee to be the face of Nike basketball, someone who would boost the company's profile on the court and bring fresh eyes to Nike. They had a young rookie in mind, but there was one big problem. Michael Jordan did not want to sign with them. In fact, he was 100% reluctant. You have to understand that in 1984, Michael Jordan was just a 19 to 20-year-old kid, and like most kids at the time, Michael was into Adidas. The flashy tracksuits and three stripes were appealing to young Mike, and he didn't want anything to do with an unestablished brand called Nike. Adidas was not interested in Jordan, and since Jordan was so determined to not go with Nike, he decided to take the meeting with his next best option, Converse. But even Converse didn't meet the standards that MJ had in his head. His dream was to get a shoe deal with Adidas, and that was that.
Michael had no interest in going with Nike. He wanted to go with Adidas. That was his strong preference. And he didn't even want to get on the plane to see Nike. And I said, well, Michael, we're going to visit all the companies. It's like getting recruited by colleges, and you want to see the people and see the facilities and whatever. He said, David, honestly, I played a long season, just finished the Olympics with Coach, and it was grueling. I don't want to go. And I didn't know him very well. I only met him twice. We had no relationship. We barely knew each other. And I'm making my very first recommendation of my career, and he's basically turning me down.
Before even playing a single game, Nike went all in on Michael Jordan. As you can imagine, Nike rushed to create the perfect shoe for the newly signed rookie.
Damn, bro, shit crazy. You feel me? Shit, I gotta pause it. Reacting to these videos and shit.
Nike's creative director at the time was Peter Moore, the same guy who designed the Nike Dunk. Moore was assigned the task of designing Michael's very first Air Jordan model. A very tricky task because Michael Jordan didn't even like Nike shoes to begin with. He told Peter Moore he didn't like how Nike soles were always so high, and that he needed to be able to feel closer to the floor when he played in his shoes. MJ wasn't exactly a fan of Air technology. After several meetings with Michael Jordan, Peter Moore got to work on the design. He figured out a way to lower the air unit and use a black and red colorway pattern to match MJ's Chicago Bulls jersey. The shoe was similar in design to older Nike classics like the Air Force One and the Nike Dunk. The iconic name for the brand, Air Jordan, was sought up in mere minutes by David Falk and Rob Strasser. Here's a clip of David Falk talking about how they came up with the name Air Jordan.
What do I want to call it? I want to call it Michael Jordan. Like, what else are you going to call it? It's a signature line. It's his signature shoe. And I said, David, you don't understand. The last 2 or 3 years in America, we've been inundated with designer products. No one is going to feel as any credibility in a 21-year-old basketball player, rookie, designing shoes. No one's going to think that Michael's sitting in his apartment coming up with ideas to design shoes. He has no expertise in design. So we can't call it Michael Jordan. So I said, okay, what do you want to call it? He said, that's your challenge. He said, we will make a line, but you've got to come up with a name for the line, but it can't be Michael Jordan. All of a sudden, it occurred to me that Nike had just come out with a new running shoe that had this allegedly revolutionary technology called air soles that cushion your foot. And I'm thinking to myself, air, Michael is a great dunker, he flies through the air. So I said, okay, maybe it took me a minute. I got it. I said, we're going to call it Air Jordan.
The original black and red colorway was groundbreaking. Before the Air Jordan 1, basketball shoes were
that Nike had just come out with a new running shoe that had this allegedly revolutionary technology called air soles that cushion your foot. And I'm thinking to myself, air, Michael is a great dunker, he flies through the air. So I said, okay, maybe it took me a minute. I got it. So we're going to call it Air Jordan.
The original black and red colorway was groundbreaking. Before the Air Jordan 1, basketball shoes were white silhouettes with minimal color. If there was any color at all, it was used in subtle ways to represent a player's uniform or a player's team. The majority.
Okay, hold on. You know, I gotta pause this every time. Type shit. So many questions I got at the end of the video. Type shit at the middle of the video. Give me a second. Damn, man.
The majority of basketball shoes had a white base, so when the Air Jordan 1 came out, it was bold and loud, and probably pissed a lot of people off to the opportunity of a lifetime.
On September 15th, Nike created a revolutionary new basketball shoe. On October 18th, the NBA threw them out of the game. Fortunately, the NBA can't stop you from wearing them. Air Jordans from Nike.
You can imagine the amount of hype this created for the Air Jordan 1. The NBA can stop Michael Jordan from wearing the shoe, but they can't stop you from wearing them. People win, and it was never really a ban, it was just a warning from the NBA. But Nike's genius marketing strategy made everyone believe that it was banned, and because of that, there's a lot of myth around the shoe and a lot of legend, and it makes it that much better, I think.
Damn, my video key.
These are some of the most popular Air Jordan models in the world. You've probably seen them on the feet of kids, NBA stars, celebrities, and even 71-year-old dripped out grandpas. These sneakers were carefully designed. Every single little detail considered, perfected for the greatest basketball player of all time. And then there's this one shoe, the Black Sheep. You guys already know what Jordan I'm talking about. The Air Jordan 2. This is Bruce Kilgore. Bruce is responsible for the design of one of Nike's most successful silhouettes, the Nike Air Force One. In 1986, Bruce, along with Air Jordan 1 designer Peter Moore, were tasked with designing the Air Jordan 2. This was not going to be time Michael Jordan was into rocking gold chains and into dressing flashy. He even wore gold chains while playing on the court. Maybe they took that into consideration when designing the shoe, but I'm not sure, I could be wrong, it's just something I noticed, so what do you guys think? Leave a comment below. Prototypes for the Air Jordan 2 included a hybrid version that has the Jordan upper but the Jordan 2 sole. It's very strange to look at, right? It almost gives me anxiety. It looks so weird. They also experimented with another prototype that looked nothing like the final product. A low-cut version of this prototype was used for the Chicago Bulls cheerleaders to wear. Bruce Kilgore and Peter Moore finally decided on a design, and when it came time to manufacture the shoe, they chose only the most premium materials to produce the highest quality shoe for their superstar. Upon its release in 1986, the Air Jordan 2 featured genuine Italian leather and a layer of fake iguana skin on the upper to give it a more luxurious and high-fashion feel. Oddly enough, the shoe didn't feature any kind of swoosh branding. They went with the Air Jordan wing logo on the tongue and the Nike text logo on the heel and bottom sole. The sneaker also featured a really cool heel counter for support and a giant airbag in the heel. Staying true to the theme of luxury, Nike made the decision to produce the shoe in Italy. This made the Air Jordan 2 unbelievably expensive, and it retailed at $100 per pair. The Air Jordan 2 released in two original colorways, the white, red, and gray, and the white, red, and black models. The following year, in 1987, they released low-top versions of the shoe which also featured the same red and white and red black colorways. MJ was first spotted wearing the Air Jordan 2 in a commercial which featured him doing his famous rock.
Hello?
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah, what up?
Hey, are you on the game right now?
No, I'm not in the game.
But me and my homie are trying to play against each other tonight. Can I borrow the controller?
Yeah, you can buy the controller.
And I'll bring it back tomorrow.
Yeah, you can.
shoe is the most underappreciated and unpopular model. Furthermore, after it came out, Bruce Kilgore and Peter Moore were dismissed from designing for the Jordan line, and it makes you wonder why. In fact, Peter Moore left the company shortly after because he was growing frustrated with designing the Jordan 3. And that's where Tinker Hatfield came in. The Jordan 2 put Nike in a rut. Everyone knows that Michael Jordan signed with Nike as a last resort and just wasn't a fan of the shoe. He hated the Air Jordan 2 despite having an amazing season in them. He thought the shoe was too heavy and he wasn't a fan of Nike. But then again, I mean, you can't really follow up the Air Jordan 1, can you? Personally, I'm not a big fan of the shoe. Being a sneaker enthusiast, I can definitely appreciate the design and the shoe's place in history, but I feel like it's underappreciated for a reason. I do like some of the lows though, especially the University Blue lows. The Dante collabs are nice, but man, look at the Air Jordan 2 and Eminem collabs. These go for thousands, but they're hideous. I will say the Bin 20. Today, when you think of Michael Jordan, you think of Nike. And when you think of Nike, you probably think of Michael Jordan. Air Jordan. But in the early days of their partnership, Michael Jordan and Nike nearly split ways. The huge catalog of Jordans that we all know and love today would not exist if it wasn't for one shoe. A shoe that quite literally rescued Nike from losing their biggest asset. I'm talking about the iconic, the legendary, the Air Jordan 3. In late 1987, Michael Jordan's 5-year contract with Nike was coming to an end, and Jordan was pretty set on not renewing. He had grown frustrated with the design direction of the Air Jordan line, and wasn't happy with the company. Meanwhile, Rob Strasser, Nike's director of marketing, and Air Jordan 1 designer Peter Moore left the company to create their own venture, Sports Incorporated. Nike feared Strasser and Moore poaching Michael Jordan to Sports Incorporated. If they were going to get MJ to renew the contract with them, it was going to take a miracle. Coming off the success of the Nike Air Max 1, a young Tinker Hatfield would be assigned the task of designing the Air Jordan 3. The shoe was already 6 months behind schedule, and the pressure to woo Jordan back to Nike was mounting. Up until that point, Michael Jordan felt like his voice didn't really matter when it came to the design of his shoes. Tinker Hatfield's approach was a little different. He was genuinely interested in hearing what Michael's needs were. Unlike his predecessors, Tinker actually sat down with Michael and listened to all his suggestions and requests that he had for the shoe. He found that Michael not only had suggestions but had very specific demands. The Air Jordan 2 was too heavy and he wanted a lighter shoe. He wanted it to be a mid-top, not too high, not too low. One of the main things Jordan mentioned during their meeting was that he wanted to be able to wear a new pair of shoes for every game. He didn't want the shoes to have to be broken in. He wanted to be able to slip on the shoes and have them be game ready. Many sleepless nights later, Tinker Hatfield emerged with a design for the Air Jordan 3. And it was time to present the shoe to Michael Jordan. Presenting the Jordan 3 to Michael was a big challenge in itself. When Tinker Hatfield and Nike founder Phil Knight flew to California to present the new shoe to Jordan, Jordan was nowhere to be found. In fact, he was out golfing with former Nike executives Rob Strasser and Peter Moore, who were pitching MJ their new company. They told Michael he didn't need to depend on Nike, and he could start his own line where he would have complete control over his brand. 4 nerve-wracking hours later, Michael Jordan showed up. He had had a long day and wasn't in the best mood. Once the small talk was over, Phil Knight called on Tinker Hatfield to lead the meeting. Tinker pulled the shroud off the Air Jordan 3 and there they were. He quickly reminded Michael of the demands he made. To make the shoes feel like they're broken in right out of the box, Hatfield used tumbled leather, which made the shoe soft and supple in the right places. Hatfield also made a mid-top just like Jordan requested. The first mid-top basketball shoe ever, actually. It was also the first Jordan shoe to feature a visible air unit in the heel. When Michael Jordan had a closer inspection of the shoe and looked at the elephant print and the iconic Jumpman logo, he was sold. Who wouldn't be? Personally, I think the Air Jordan 3 is a masterpiece. To this day, Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, still credits Tinker Hatfield for saving Nike. To market the shoe, Nike and the marketing firm Wyden and Kennedy hired the then up-and-coming director Spike Lee to direct a series of commercials. Spike Lee's 1986 movie Do the Right Thing featured Mars Blackman, an Air Jordan-obsessed character that Spike plays in the movie. Let's watch one of these iconic black and white commercials now.
Mars Blackman here again. You know, nobody in the world can cover my main man, Michael Jordan. Nobody. Nobody. I'm telling you, it's impossible. Impossible.
However, it's easy to cover Mars Blackman. For Pit Stop Tonight, we're shaking it up and showing you a different side of Team Toyota. Pit. First talk show with the pit crew. Thank you.
You'd think that this would feel more natural to me. Oh, but it does not.
Check out more Pit Stop Tonight.
Welcome. Thanks for joining today's live.
The Air Jordan 3 debuted in 4 original colorways: white cement, black cement, fire red, and the true blues. Michael Jordan also had an amazing season where he won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. During All-Star Weekend in 1988, MJ and Dominique Wilkins battled it out during one of the most famous slam dunk contests in NBA history. Michael Jordan stole the show with his famous dunk from the free throw line. While wearing a pair of crispy Air Jordan 3s, he took flight, and really, the rest is history. We all know that the shoe has been retroed several times and dozens of colorways of the Air Jordan 3 exist, but I'm not going to go through every single little pair here because that would be boring. One interesting thing I'd like to touch on is the fact that the initial sketches that Tinker made for the Air Jordan 3 actually featured a swoosh. Nike recently released versions of the Air Jordan 3 with the swoosh, the Air Jordan 3 Tinker Hatfield, a must cop for any serious Jordan collector. The Air Jordan 3's legacy lives on through the amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts who are passionate about sneakers and appreciate the history behind them. The year is 1989. The Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers are in the final moments of Game 5 of the first round of the NBA playoffs. There are 3 seconds left on the clock and the Cavs are up 100-99. Jordan has been battling Larry Nance and Craig Ello to the death in this last quarter. For this final play, all eyes are on MJ. Everyone knows he will be the one going for the shot to win the game. With just 3 seconds left on the clock, Sellers inbounds to Jordan. Jordan cuts around Nance, and at the foul line, MJ jumps and floats in the air over the outstretched hands of 6'6" Craig Ello and shoots.
2 seconds to go. Puts it up. It's gone at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago.
In what will come to be forever known as The Shot, one of the greatest plays in basketball history, Michael Jordan wins the game for the Bulls, defying gravity in a fresh pair of Nike Air Jordan 4s. Back in 1988, MJ wasn't exactly interested in continuing his partnership with Nike, but thanks to Tinker Hatfield, Nike succeeded in securing a renewal of their contract with MJ by wooing him back via one of the most perfectly designed silhouettes of all time, the Air Jordan 3. Proving himself to be the only designer for the job, Tinker Hatfield embarked on the journey of designing the Jordan 3 successor, but this time, he would approach the design with functionality in mind. You see, prior to the Jordan 4, a lot of the design direction for MJ's shoes were motivated by the idea of making a luxury basketball shoe. Tinker, of course, wanted to keep the luxury feel, but he didn't want it to be the main focus of the design. Hatfield kept many of the 3's design elements when designing the 4, keeping the Jumpman logo on the tongue, but this time with the addition of the word flight in a flowing script below, borrowing the same Nike Air logo on the heel as the 3, and both shoes featured the same air unit in the heel. Now let's take a look at some of the technical features that Hatfield and his team added to the shoe. A new polyurethane overmolded mesh technology decorated the tongue and panels on the upper. Another bold functional element of the 4 was the sturdy support wings that housed the laces at the top of the shoe and near the toe box. This gave options for the wearer to lace their sneakers in 18 different ways. As for the upper, Hatfield and his team opted for a synthetic leather called Durabuck. The soles on the 4 remained almost exactly the same as the 3, but with a slightly higher visual rise in the middle of the sole. Lastly, in another utilitarian addition, the 4 featured the iconic pull tab on the heel where the 3 did not. In 1989, Nike released the Air Jordan 4 for $110 in these 4 colorways: black cement, white cement, fire red, and military blue. MJ played one of his best statistical seasons ever in the Air Jordan 4s. And as if Jordan's performance and the shot weren't strong enough endorsements of the power of a crisp pair of Air Jordan 4s, the sneaker's reputation was further boosted by Spike Lee. If you watched our video on the history of the Air Jordan 3, then you know a big part of Nike's marketing campaign of the 3s was Mars Blackman, the character that Spike Lee played in his 1986 film She's Gotta Have It, who appeared in commercials for the Jordan 3. The marketing campaign for the Jordan 4s saw Michael Jordan and Mars Blackman appearing together once again in similar commercials. But Spike took the sneaker worship to the next level for the 4s when he put them in his 1989 film, do the right thing. He famously made them the centerpiece of a whole scene. 10 years after its initial release, Nike retroed the Jordan 4 in a variety of colorways, like the Columbia and the Oreo, and oh yeah, one highly debated change. The heel logo was changed from the original Nike Air logo to the Jumpman logo. What's your preference, the Jumpman logo or the OG logo? Leave your comment below. Some people feel like the original heel logo was Nike prioritizing the advertisement of their Air technology and Nike itself, over actually paying tribute to Jordan. In my opinion though, they should at least leave the Nike Air logo on the OG colorways and not mess with the heel logo at all. Over the years, Nike has given us some undeniably dope, classy colorways of the Jordan 4, and also some controversial and downright hated, loud, and crazy colorways.
Hey yo, make sure I comment. And plus, one thing though, hold up. One thing though, I gotta pause this video because you know how YouTube is and shit. So yeah, bro, it's the 4 shit Jordan.
Colorways weren't the only aspect that fell under scrutiny though. The quality and the appearance of the silhouette itself was also widely claimed to have varied from the original and gotten worse over time as more colorways were dropped. Complaints varied, but some of the more serious issues were that some of the uppers and the midsoles were crumbling, flaking, and becoming discolored way too quickly. Consumer outcry about these issues prompted the Jordan brand to introduce their Retro Remaster initiative in 2005, which not only promised to deliver a better made retro, but also brought back the Nike Air logo to the heel of the 4s, just like the OGs. Now, there are a ton of colorways of the Air Jordan 4, and I'm not going to go through every single one because there's just so many of them, but here's some of our favorites. The Cavs colorway.
So like all the retros, let me out. So we gotta talk about this. So like all the retros, hold on, what the fuck, where did my shit go? So like all the retros, right? All the retros would have the Nike on it's called the Nike logo. And the new ones would just have the Jordan logo.
Fear Pack, The Cause, both the Undefeated 4s and the Eminem and Carhartt Jordan 4s are going for like $16,000 a pair on StockX right now. Right now there's a pair of Undefeated 4s with people bidding up to $20,000 for the shoe in my size. What do you guys think about these Dorenbecher 4s? One of many dope releases that came from the Nike Dorenbecher Freestyle program, in which patients from the Dorenbecher Children's Hospital in Portland, Oregon are given the opportunity to design their own shoe.
Bro, that Dorenbecher, I knew who had those, bro. I knew who had those. Waiting for hours, bro. Hold on, let me see the Dorenbechers. I'm gonna just go for it, nigga. I know exactly who has those. They probably fucked it up. I know it was like for like choosing hospital, bro, in Oregon. Ooh, 15K, nigga. 15K. And you wild, nigga. No. I forgot what I said though. But shit. No, yeah, all the Jordan logos, like the new ones, the rituals, what's it called? The OGs would be the one with the flight logo.
Released in 2011 for $175, this one was created by Isaiah Scott, a then 11-year-old survivor of leukemia. His design was inspired by Nate Robinson's performance in the 2009 slam dunk competition, and also inspired by Superman, who Isaiah saw as his alter ego that helped him battle his disease. The shoe is adorned with the logos of Superman on the tongue and Isaiah's own logo, a silhouette of his head on the upper. The colorway was inspired by Nate Robinson's green outfit, Superman's blue costume, and also green kryptonite, to symbolize both Superman's weakness and the illness that was Isaiah's own personal kryptonite. Such a cool backstory and dope program that Nike's put together with the Dorenbecher Foundation. How do you guys feel about the Jordan 4 Fire Reds? Did you ever get beat up and have your sneakers taken from you? Well, how about getting shot at for your sneakers? Because apparently, sneakerheads in Tallahassee were that hyped for the release of the Fire Reds.
Other news tonight, a man at the Tallahassee Mall this morning waiting to get his hands on the new Michael Jordan shoes was nearly shot and robbed. Tonight, police need your help to find the suspect. Officer Susan Newhouse with Tallahassee Police tell us a line of people were waiting to get inside of the mall to buy the new Air Jordans. That is when they say a man armed with a gun approached one of those customers and tried to rob the victim. Now, the victim, we're told, refused and took off. He was then followed by that suspect, who we're told started firing the gun into the air. He then got into a car with the second person and took off.
The Jordan 4 will forever remain one of the most sought-after J's of all time. For me, this sneaker is timeless and is one of Jordan Brand's best products still to this day. Union LA recently dropped a super interesting Jordan 4 where the tongue is stitched in, giving the wearer the option to remove the stitching or leave it as is. When photos were leaked of the Union 4s, people initially hated the shoe. Now, it's arguably one of the biggest releases of the year. A lot of haters, a lot of people hating on the shoe, but once they saw the official images from Nike, they changed their mind real quick. And don't lie, were you one of those haters? Let us know in the comments and be honest.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44. This is a first look at the current industry-leading AI app builder, and you wouldn't believe the kind of apps that people are creating. Smart nutrition apps, inventory trackers, onboarding tools, you name it. And if the only thing stopping me from making the app is the idea, then why not build an app that gives me endless app ideas? So let's make it. Pro tip, I draft the full app spec in ChatGPT, and then I drop the prompt directly into Base 44. It gives me super detailed structure. And here it is. Everything I laid out in detail as it goes. This is pretty awesome, but I want to make it playful. So I'm going to add a swipe left and swipe right interface. The same usability we all know. Now I'm going to add one more feature. So every idea that I favorite will turn into a kickoff prompt to start building the app itself. And that's it. Just come up with your idea, any idea, and Base 44 will do the rest. So go to Base 44 and create apps with your name on it.
With the American Express Platinum Card, you can access over $3,500 in value each year and unlock experiences like no other. Find out your welcome offer. There's nothing like Platinum.
When I think about World War II, one of the images that immediately pops into my mind is the nose art on military aircrafts that they had back then. The imagery of shark teeth painted on the nose of World War II fighter planes is inseparable from my mind. Alright, but what do these old aircrafts with fangs painted on them have anything to do with the Air Jordan 5? Well, when you take into account how aggressive, vicious, and fearless a basketball player MJ was, it all starts to make sense. In this video, we're going to be taking a closer look at the history and the inspiration behind one of my favorite Jordan models of all time, the Air Jordan 5. The year is 1990 and Michael Jordan is paving the way for his soon-to-be legendary career. In the 1990 season, Jordan won his second MVP award, averaging 30-plus points per game. That same year, the Chicago Bulls finished first place in their division for the first time in 16 years, and set a franchise record with 61 wins in the regular season. They nearly won the championship that year, but they ultimately lost to the Detroit Pistons. But nonetheless, Michael Jordan's hype was at an all-time high. I mean, he had already racked up Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Valuable Player, All-Star MVP, All-NBA, and All-NBA defense, but still had no ring. Regardless, Michael Jordan was already on his fifth signature shoe. The Air Jordan 5 was designed by master shoe designer Mr. Tinker Hatfield in the year 1990. Hatfield had designed the two previous Air Jordan releases, the Air Jordan 3 and the Air Jordan 4. Both had tremendous success, so it was going to be a real challenge for him to reinvent the status quo. What's your favorite Tinker Hatfield design? Leave a comment below. Hatfield spent a lot of time watching Bulls games, carefully observing Michael Jordan's style of playing aggressive and relentless offense. He noticed that Michael would literally attack his opponents from all sides. His mindset would never waver, he just kept fighting. MJ is famous for being deathly competitive. At some point, Tinker Hatfield made the connection between World War II fighter planes and Jordan's mindset. It was a huge inspiration for the shoe. In fact, one of the silhouette's most striking design details are the jagged teeth on the midsole of the shoe. This was inspired by the pilots and Air Force crews that would paint shark mouths on the nose of their planes. Originally, this was done for practical reasons like identifying friendly allies in battle, but it eventually evolved into an expression of individuality. It was a type of escapism for the pilots, a way for them to evoke memories of home and peacetime life. This perfectly complemented Michael Jordan's fearless mindset. Another cool feature of the Jordan 5 was the translucent sole. Tinker Hatfield had just finished working on the design for the Nike Air Max for the 1989 film Back to the Future 2. The Nike Air Max featured a translucent sole, and this design detail transferred over onto the Jordan 5. It was the first Jordan shoe to feature a translucent sole, something that would become a staple for the Jordan brand moving forward. Tinker Hatfield used 3M Scotch-like material for the tongue, which when dark enough outside, the tongue reflects back to produce a bright, highly visible silver light. This type of material is often used on workwear to increase visibility for construction workers or even runners. The Air Jordan 5 released in 4 original colorways: white and red, black and metallic, white and fire, and my personal favorite, the grape colorway. One thing to note is that out of the original 4, the fire red colorway was the only one that included the number 23 on the shoe. The grape colorway garnered a lot of attention